Is there a way Notre Dame, with the money they bring, goes undefeated and gets left out of the playoff?
Well, I'd like to see it just to prove that we don't ever have that conversation again. But you're right. Notre Dame is ordained. I mean, they're always getting a leg up because they're Notre Dame.
What does Harbaugh need to do the rest of the way so that he's not on the hot seat at the end of the season?
I mean, his problem is he's now facing the part of the season that usually gets him: Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State. That's been his undoing. Right now, I mean, he has a nice win over Maryland. I can't believe I'm about to say this, a nice win over Northwestern. But it's going to start catching up to him. And Saturday night's a big game because Wisconsin was dinged up a few weeks ago. That would be as big a win as he has had, and there's not much competition.
Talk to me about Georgia from this perspective. You got Kirby Smart over there. He's a disciple of Nick Saban. He's 6-0. He's in the SEC. Last time we saw them really in the big game, as far as it was the national championship game, obviously they lost the thriller against Alabama. They're the number 2 ranked team in the nation, and I almost never hear about them from anybody. I'm sure you do, but I know I almost never hear about them from the rest of the nation outside of the South. Why is that? I hear so much about Clemson. I hear so much about Ohio State, and obviously Alabama, but not Georgia. Why?
Well, they haven't played a lot of marquee games yet. They beat South Carolina on the road. Now, where I live, that matters, but it doesn't matter much beyond that time zone. Then they went to Missouri. That doesn't matter. They were hurt this week, Stephen A., for what you're talking about. Had LSU not lost, they lost on a pick six, this would have been the premier game. Game day would have been there. It would have been the biggest game of the year in college football, right up there with Penn State, Ohio State. Instead, it's lost some luster. And it's still a very tricky game. LSU is capable. I don't think they'll win the game. So, I mean, they're just waiting around for the end. And Kirby Smart is like Nick Saban, so you don't hear how great they are because all he does is talk about how many mistakes we've made. We're not that good. They do have a potential quarterback issue down the road. Fields is really good. He's pushing. Fromm is a good quarterback, but I think that will be for later, especially if they lose a game. And they have a tough month of October with LSU this weekend, and then 2 weeks from now they'll have Florida, which is resurgent.
This college football season, we've talked about it, the NFL is resurgent, and college football's been great as always, but maybe not as great as last year, especially compared to the NFL, where the NFL was no good and college football was amazing. And one of the reasons that you identified was Alabama is just so overwhelmingly dominant. But in a way, doesn't that put more pressure because now they have the quarterback on Tua, especially, and Alabama, since they're such prohibitive favorites?
Yeah, I don't think this has been a great college football season. There have been upsets, but, I mean, I've done this many years, and some years, every week there is just a buzz. This year...
Last year felt like...
Yeah, you're having to create some conversation. Now, what will change as we get toward the playoffs? But Max, Alabama, once again, and I've said this probably 3 or 4 times in the last 10 years, is sucking the oxygen out of the sport because many believe it's just a fait accompli that Alabama is going to win and there's no one else. I happen to believe, as I've said a couple of times, that Ohio State is close, maybe not there. I don't think Clemson is. Georgia, still a little bit fuzzy about. Oklahoma's gone. Notre Dame, I don't think matches up.
Isn't there more pressure? Like, take Jalen Hurts, Stephen A. and others talking about he's not a good enough quarterback for this team, or it's a typical Alabama situation. They don't have the incredible quarterback. Now they have the guy everyone wants. Like, they're not allowed to lose now.
But the argument against Alabama has been the schedule. Instead of a really big-time game, which we thought we had last year with FSU, a couple of years ago, Michigan, SC, they played Louisville, and it was just forgettable. Louisville is terrible.
51-14.
I mean, Bobby Petrino is close to the end there, which isn't going to make anyone too upset. So they're still looking for a game, and they're not going to get one. This week, Missouri in prime time. I mean, I know it's on ESPN, so I'll be quiet. But LSU in a couple of weeks. Auburn is banged up. They'll have 3 losses at least. So it's all about the championship game against Georgia. And Alabama it would be nice if Georgia went into that game undefeated. But Alabama is really playing itself as they have done a couple of times. And when they've done this in the past, they haven't always succeeded. Alabama in 2013 was going for a three-peat, same conversation, and then the 109-yard return did them in.